Think beauty is universal. Ancient standards will wreck that belief. Cleopatra's kohl wasn't vanity. It cut sun glare in Egypt. In Heian, Japan, noble women blackened teeth and painted eyebrows high. Maya parents shaped baby skulls and trained fashionable crossed eyes. Romans powdered faces with lead, chasing pale perfection at a cost. Vikings bleached hair with lye because blonde meant status, not saga. Lotus feet in imperial China turned walking into painful, tiny steps. Aztec smiles flashed jade inlays and deliberate filing under temple suns. By the end, you'll spot ancient logic behind the strangest looks. Cleopatra's kohl eyeliner and shaved heads under heavy wigs. Those famous eyes were sunscreen and medicine before they were glamour. In Alexandria, Cleopatra lined lids with galena kohl from Egypt. The mineral reduced glare, killed bacteria, and deterred desert infections. Under jeweled wigs, her head was shaved for cleanliness. Court men and women did the same for lice control. Wigs signaled rank, scented with resin and blue lotus. Painted malachite greens joined black lines for ceremonial appearances. Trade with Nubia and Cyprus kept cosmetics flowing into palaces. So the look read powerful, yet started with desert pragmatism. Heian, Japan's blackened teeth and painted high eyebrows as beauty. Court beauty meant hiding teeth and eyebrows rather than highlighting them. In Heian, Kyoto, aristocrats blackened teeth with iron vinegar mixtures. It signaled maturity, fidelity, and elite taste to palace society. They then shaved natural brows and painted new ones high. Those painted ovals floated above powder-white faces on silk layers. Women wrote poetry behind fans, avoiding direct light that marred powder. Blackened teeth kept contrast strong during candlelit evening gatherings. Painters captured the fashion on scrolls like Tale of Genji. Modern smiles win, but Heian, Kyoto prized shadowed mouths instead. Maya. Parents shaped baby skulls and trained crossed eyes. Perfect beauty began in infancy with boards and beads in Yucatan. Classic Maya parents bound soft skulls gently to encourage elongated foreheads. They also dangled beads to train fashionable, slightly crossed eyes. Elites near Tikal and Palenque displayed the look during ceremonies. Jade dental inlays later matched the forehead shape and shine. Scribes painted these ideals on codices and stucco palace walls. Spiritual logic linked shaped heads with maize gods and order. Colonial accounts misunderstood practice, but archaeology documents careful methods today. It wasn't random harm, it signaled lineage and elite identity. Vikings bleached hair and beards with lye for fashion. Warriors wanted fashion points too, not just axes and boats. Norsemen in Iceland reportedly lightened hair with lye soaps. The alkaline wash stripped pigments, making straw blonde strands appear. Beards sometimes got the treatment, matching prized amber mustaches too. Sagas mention combs, tweezers, and weekly bath days before gatherings. Graves across Denmark yield grooming kits alongside weapons and jewelry. Imports from Anglo-Saxon towns brought extra combs and scented oils, so the raider look included salon effort between voyages too. Blood myth sticks, but the mirror mattered in Norse halls. Ancient Rome's lead paste foundation for ghostly white skin. That flawless marble face came with headaches and poison risks. In Imperial Rome, women applied cerussa, a lead carbonate paste. It brightened skin toward the fashionable pale patrician ideal. Vendors sold powders near the Forum and Suburra markets daily. Wigs, blush, and kohl completed elite banquet appearances at night. Physicians later warned about ulcers, miscarriages, and dental damage. Some switched to chalk mixtures and safer plant pigments, but lead stayed popular among courtesans and ambitious matrons. Status glowed pale, even when the remedy slowly harmed. Greek women faked unibrows with goat hair and soot. One brow meant brains and virtue in classical Athens salons. Women used soot and goat hair to connect eyebrows gracefully. Poets praised the look alongside olive skin and dark curls. Statues show smooth foreheads, but everyday faces told another story. Merchants sold tweezers, but many left the bridge untouched. Borrowed hair patches served as instant adjustable beauty bands. At symposia, witty debates mixed with ointments and perfumes. In tragedies, stage masks echoed thick brows for visibility. Brains first, but a brushstroke helped sell the message. Queen Hatshepsut's false beard as a beauty power statement. A king's beard on a queen announced stability to Thebes. Hatshepsut ruled Egypt as pharaoh, wearing braided ceremonial chin pieces. Reliefs at Deir el-Bahri show crowns, kilt, and beard proudly. Officials like Senenmut backed her, managing temples and quarry projects. Trade with Punt brought myrrh trees for new palace gardens. The beard signaled divine right, not everyday facial hair. Sphinx statues carried her features with the same royal emblem. Later erasures scratched names, but stone kept the image. Power dressed masculine, while policy stayed very much hers. Tang China's plump ideal and moth-shaped eyebrows trend. Full cheeks signaled prosperity in Chang'an's bustling cosmopolitan courts. Tang women favored soft figures and tiny moth-shaped painted brows. Rouge, rice powder, and flowered hairpins completed banquet looks. Poems praised dancers gliding past Persian merchants and Buddhist monks. Emperor Xuanzong's court celebrated music, horses, and richly dyed silks. Eyebrow shapes shifted with fashion names like far-off mountains styles. Pale foreheads sometimes carried delicate painted flower patches too then. Silk Road luxuries fueled cosmetics recipes traded between cities. A rounded silhouette read modern then, not indulgent or lazy. Ancient Egypt's melted perfume cones worn on wigs. Party guests literally wore perfume that melted down their wigs. Tomb paintings show white cones perched on evening coiffures. Residues found at Amarna suggest real waxy-scented lumps existed. As heat rose, oils released lotus and myrrh fragrances slowly. Guests feasted while drips refreshed skin and masked desert sweat. Musicians, dancers, and priests all appear wearing the cones. Elite banquets near Memphis prized aroma as much as gold. Not a prank hat, the cone was status fragrance technology. Art exaggerated size, but the scented idea checks out. Aztec and Maya jade tooth inlays and deliberate filing. Smiles flashed gemstones across Central American marketplaces and temples. Maya and Aztec artisans drilled teeth carefully for jade inlays. They also filed edges into fashionable shapes for identity. Elite burials at Copan show shimmering dental work beside jewelry. Pain control likely used herbs and obsidian tools with skill. Spanish chroniclers stared, then described the practice with surprise. Tooth art announced lineage, status, and regional style quickly. No selfie filters needed when your canines literally sparkled already. Jewelry moved on to enamel, turning smiles into loyal banners. Inca ear spools, stretching lobes signaled elite beauty. Royal ears stretched wide in highland Cusco as power symbols. Inca nobles wore large gold or silver spools through earlobes. Spanish observers nicknamed them orejones, literally big-eared people. Medals gleamed during festivals honoring Inti, the sun god. Apprentice nobles gradually increased size to avoid tearing the lobe. Textiles and feathered headdresses amplified the visual message across plazas. After conquest, many cut ornaments to blend with colonials locally. Mummies retain ear openings showing long-term stretching among elites. The empire spoke through ears before words reached the crowd. Sumerians invented lipstick from crushed minerals and oils. Colorful lips appeared long before modern tubes reached purses. In ancient Ur, artisans crushed minerals into oil-based pastes. Royal graves show cosmetic shells alongside lyres and jewelry. Men and women used pigments during festivals and temple visits. The city's trade caravans brought exotic stones for colors. Statuettes display lined eyes and emphasized mouths under headdresses. Scented oils mixed with powders helped them glide on. Makeup marked status and devotion in southern Mesopotamia's heat. So, lipstick's origin story starts beside the Euphrates markets. Romans wore blonde wigs made from captive Germanic hair. Rome chased northern sunshine with imported blonde hairpieces. Fashionable women bought wigs made from enslaved Germanic captives. Vendors displayed curls near the Subura's noisy streets. The look echoed conquered Gauls and prized Rhine region hues. Empresses shifted trends, wearing tall stacked coiffures at games. Men sometimes powdered hair to match fashionable yellow tones. Satirists mocked the craze, while shops kept selling anyway. Blonde locks read exotic, expensive, and worth the whispers. Conquest changed wardrobes long after legions left those forests. Minoan wasp waists and bare-breasted palace fashion ideals. Palace frescoes on Crete show narrow waists and bold jackets. Minoan women wore open-front bodices with flounced skirts at Knossos. Tiny waists likely came from tight belts and posture training. Snake-handling figures appear in shrines and storerooms alike across Crete. Colorful dyes and corseted shapes impressed visiting Mycenaean merchants. Sea trade brought jewelry, ivory, and ideas for dress. Earthquakes, fires, and later palaces changed fashions during centuries. The silhouette stayed iconic, captured on restored wall paintings. Ceremony, commerce, and balance defined beauty in Bronze Age Crete. Egyptians plucked all body hair for a childlike look. Smooth skin meant status along the Nile's humid banks. Egyptians plucked body hair and shaved with bronze razors. Elite households kept servants to manage waxing and sugaring. Priests shaved entirely before entering sanctuaries at Karnak. Oils, pumice, and tweezers maintained the childlike, preferred look. Cosmetic tables show razors lying beside kohl sticks frequently. Heat, insects, and ritual purity pushed the trend hard. Wigs covered shaven scalps during festivals and official visits. Less hair signaled control over nature in river country. Ancient Persia celebrated the single connected eyebrow as alluring. Across ancient Persia, one connected brow read poetic and noble. Carvings at Persepolis show strong brows and straight noses prominently. Poets later praised dark brows as bridges of longing. Women darkened gaps using powders and charcoal sticks carefully. Men kept beards oiled, while brows framed expressive kohl eyes. Court fashion crossed empires through traders on the royal road. Neighboring regions adopted the graceful continuous arch as aspirational. Later miniatures preserved the aesthetic alongside jeweled turbans. A single line told lineage faster than long 00 ductions could. Chinese forehead flower patches and painted beauty spots craze. Foreheads bloomed with tiny decorations in courts from Chang'an. Women wore huadian, small flower patches painted or applied. The trend surged during late Tang and early 5 dynasties. Paired with powder-white faces, the motif drew eyes upward. Dancers in pear gardens showed shimmering dots under lanterns. Officials' wives copied stage looks during spring festival banquets. Silk merchants sold stick-on designs alongside hairpins and rouge. Poetry compared the forehead gardens to morning blossoms after rain. Then fashion shifted, leaving paintings to document the craze. Scythian princess mummies covered in elaborate animal tattoos. Buried queens carried animal tattoos beneath Siberian ice for centuries. The Ukok princess from the Altai preserved curling deer designs. Nomad elites used ink to mark identity and protection. Her felt clothes and wig survived alongside tattooed shoulders. Other Scythian mummies show griffins and cats across limbs. Greek writers described steppe fashions mixing gold and fur. Kurgan burials reveal mirrors, combs, and cosmetically treated hair. Tattoo motifs matched animal-style art on plaques and weapons. Frozen soil kept the ink vibrant for modern researchers. Hellenistic men oiled bodies and scraped skin for shine. Greek gymnasiums glowed with olive oil long before gyms. Athletes oiled bodies, then scraped sweat with metal strigils. The routine cleaned dust and highlighted muscle under sunlight. In cities like Alexandria, scholars collected scrapings as curiosities. Vendors even sold bottled scrapings as supposed health remedies. Public baths followed, mixing steam, conversation, and politics. Scented oils traveled from Syria and Rhodes for athletes. Statues of Apoxyomenos show the scraper moment immortalized. Shine meant hygiene, speed, and a little public theater. Egyptians shaved eyebrows to mourn a beloved house cat. Losing the cat meant losing your eyebrows in ancient households. Herodotus wrote, Egyptians shaved brows when beloved house cats died. For dogs, some reportedly shaved entire bodies in grief. Cats had temple corrections, especially with Bastet at Bubastis. Households mummified pets, wrapping them with oils and linens. Markets sold bronze cat figures as household protectors and gifts. Eyebrow loss signaled mourning publicly across crowded neighborhoods. Neighbors immediately recognized the shaved line's silent announcement. Beauty paused for grief, then slowly returned with kohl. Ancient India's kohl-lined eyes, hennaed hands, and sindoor ideals. Color told stories on faces and hands across the subcontinent. Kajal-lined eyes, cooling lids in dusty northern summers. Henna-stained palms and wedding designs during monsoon festivals. Sindoor marked marital status along hair parts in many regions. Ayurvedic texts mention herbal pastes for scent and shine. Courts from Pataliputra to Ujjain traded perfumes and dyes. Dancers wore ankle bells and bold eyeliner during temple performances. Travelers described lamps reflecting off bangles and nose rings. Different regions mixed rituals with style, creating long-lived traditions. Roman women depilated with arsenic lime pastes despite burns. Beauty hurt when Roman bathhouses offered caustic depilation pastes. Arsenic sulfide and quicklime removed hair but burned skin. Cosmetier assistants applied mixtures carefully before social events. Recipes circulated through markets near the baths of Caracalla. Safer pumice and tweezers offered slower, gentler alternatives. Perfumed oils soothed skin after painful chemical sessions. Writers joked about smells while trends kept selling. Some households hired specialists to manage ongoing maintenance. Smoothness signaled leisure time, even with the sting. Celt warriors limed spiky hair and blue body paint. Enemies saw spikes and blue skin before the charge. Accounts describe Celtic warriors using lime to stiffen hair. Some reports mention woad body paint during rituals and warfare. Leaders wore torques, thick neck rings of twisted metal. Trumpets called carnices blared across wet British hillsides. Roman writers exaggerated, but archaeology still finds pigment traces. Hair treated with lime stood upright like animal manes. The spectacle hit before swords ever reached Roman shields. Style amplified fear, buying seconds during the first clash. Han China's tiny cherry mouth and powder white face aesthetic. Tiny lips and pale faces floated through Han court paintings. Women powdered skin, then placed small red dots centrally. The effect created the famed cherry mouth ideal. Hairpins, jade combs, and silk robes completed formal visits. Philosophers argued moderation, while cosmetics still drifted through palaces. Tombs near Changsha preserve lacquer mirrors and cosmetic boxes. Musicians performed zithers, while courtiers judged calligraphy and poise. Paintings on silk show lip shapes smaller than natural proportions. Delicacy read powerful by saying everything without raising volume. Etruscan couples buried with mirrors, jewelry, and elaborate braids. Even in death, style walked into tombs near Tarquinia. Etruscan couples appear reclining on sarcophagi with braided hair. Graves include bronze mirrors, perfume flasks, and cosmetic kits. Wall paintings show dancers and banquet scenes with jewelry. Greek neighbors traded dyes and goldwork across Tyrrhenian ports. Women's names appear on inscriptions, highlighting public presence. Hairnets and fillets kept elaborate styles intact during feasts. Roman conquest eventually folded fashions into a new mix. The mirror stayed, reflecting status even underground for centuries. Olmec and Maya septum plugs and nose ornaments for beauty. A glance revealed glittering nose ornaments across Mesoamerican plazas. Olmec and Maya elites wore septum plugs of jade or shell. Masks and stelae depict broad plates catching sun at ceremonies. Priests inhaled incense, while ornaments framed breath and voice. Craftsmen drilled carefully, protecting cartilage with practiced hands. Jade signaled life force, motivating placement near the nose. Regional styles spread through trade routes linking lowlands and highlands. Spanish invaders later misread ornaments as purely warlike gear. For locals, they announced ancestry as clearly as spoken 00 ductions. Ancient Greece's saffron hair dyes, chasing rare golden blondes. Blonde envy reached Athens long before bottled dye existed. Women used saffron rinses to chase rare golden highlights. Poems admired sunlit hair on islanders and northern visitors. Some bleached with ash mixtures, risking brittle, damaged strands. Wreaths and veils framed the color during Panathenaic processions. Statues sometimes kept traces of paint suggesting former tints. Imported wigs offered shortcuts when patience ran low. The shade promised youth, status, and divine favor whispers. Athens chased sunlight while living under actual relentless sunlight. Kohl as sunglasses. Egyptians lined eyes to cut glare. Eyeliner worked like sunglasses during harsh Egyptian summers. Galena kohl reduced glare and irritation around dusty roads. Priests, sailors, and farmers wore it beyond royal courts. Makers mixed salts that stimulated immune responses along eyelids. Game hunts and boat trips needed clear vision in sun. Children appear in art sporting little black rims daily. Cosmetics boxes traveled with amulets and combs in baskets. What looks like vanity reads as eye care under glare. Form met function beside the Nile's blinding waters everywhere daily. Moche gold nose ornaments and face paint for elite allure. Northern Peru's elites flashed gold across faces during ceremonies. Moche lords wore huge nose ornaments shaped like crescent moons. Painted murals at Huaca de la Luna show shimmering gear. War captives marched while priests sprinkled liquids from goblets. Turquoise inlays and cotton textiles amplified the golden glare. Pottery scenes depict bloodletting rituals linked to rulers. Nosepieces framed breath plumes in cold coastal mornings. Spanish chroniclers later misread ornaments as purely war trophies. Local audiences saw sacred metal catching sunlight like authority. Hittite and Assyrian perfume obsession, scent as status beauty. North of Mesopotamia, power also smelled like resin and myrrh. Hittite texts list cedar oils used in royal rituals. Assyrian reliefs show attendants fanning kings with scented burners. Caravans brought frankincense from Arabia and cypress oils. Palaces at Nineveh stored perfumes alongside tapestries and ivories. Banquet halls mixed aroma with carved lion hunt scenes. Queens managed stores, tracking jars sealed with clay labels. Scent broadcast status before any envoy spoke a word. Power arrived by nose, long before letters reached capitals. Roman men darkened beards and eyebrows with soot and wine. Men chased youthful beards with quick, messy color fixes. Romans darkened facial hair using soot mixed with wine. Barbershops, tonstrine, clustered around busy forum streets, serving gossipers. Dyes hid gray patches before banquets and court appearances. Oils shaped mustaches into neat lines under helmets. Satirists mocked drips during rainstorms on senators, leaving streaks everywhere. Still, shops sold combs, razors, and perfumed finishing balms. Image mattered for contracts, votes, and borrowed credibility. Beard shade said vigor before speeches even began. Ainu women tattooed smiles around mouths as marriage beauty. Brides wore permanent blue smiles in northern Japan's forests. Ainu women tattooed around mouths using soot and ash. Designs began small in childhood and grew toward marriage. Older relatives performed the work with ceremonial songs. Temporary plant dyes previewed shapes before needles touched skin. Russian and Japanese authorities later restricted the practice heavily. Photographs from Hokkaido preserve patterns and clothing details. Tattoos signaled adulthood, skill, and readiness for household leadership. Beauty meant belonging to a community with deep memory. Ancient Arabia's kohl-rimmed eyes and hennaed nails for brides. Wedding nights glowed with lamps, kohl, and intricate henna. Across Arabia, brides stained hands and feet with designs. Patterns cooled skin and symbolized joy during hot seasons. Kohl lined eyes for celebration and protection against glare. Incense burned from frankincense trees traded through coastal ports. Women gathered together, sharing recipes and family motifs. Grooms received scented oils and combed beards for processions. Stories connected henna patterns with blessings and protection. Scent, color, and community defined beauty around desert homes. Paracas elites practiced extreme skull elongation as fashion. Skulls tell fashion stories on Peru's wind-carved southern coast. Paracas elites shaped heads using boards and wrappings from infancy. Elongated profiles appear under embroidered mantles and tombs. Textile bundles include combs, pins, and fine cotton cords. Ceremonial staffs and trophies surrounded seated mummy bundles. The desert preserved hair and bandage marks remarkably well. Later Nazca potters echoed the profile in painted figures. Shaped heads spoke of clan, not punishment or disease. Identity literally grew with you under the Paracas sky. Assyrian kings oiled ringlet beards as peak masculine beauty. Power curled into perfect ringlets on Assyrian royal beards. Reliefs at Nimrud and Nineveh show layered oiled facial hair. Barbers sculpted rows using wax, combs, and heated rods. Beards framed earrings, collars, and patterned robes during audiences. Lion hunt scenes paired strength with meticulous grooming standards. Captives on panels contrast with symmetrical royal curls. Perfumed oils traveled by caravan from cedar forests and mountains. Clay tablets list beard care among palace ration details. Hair signaled order, just like cuneiform ruled their archives. Greeks and Romans stained lips with kermes and cinnabar pigments. Red lips came from insects and mercury ores in antiquity. Greeks used kermes dye extracted from scale insects for cosmetics. Romans sometimes used cinnabar, a bright but risky pigment. Vendors kept cakes of color near bathhouse entrances. Elite banquets favored matching lip and cheek tones. Poets teased overuse, while recipes kept circulating widely. Safer plant dyes appeared when supplies or budgets tightened. Mirrors of polished metal guided application under lamplight. Everyone wanted color, despite knowing some sources bit back. Ancient Persia perfected sugaring hair removal for silky skin. Sweet kitchens doubled as beauty salons across ancient Iran. Sugaring mixed sugar, lemon, and water to remove hair. The paste pulled follicles without the burn of quicklime. Mothers taught daughters techniques during family gatherings each season. Traders carried recipes east and west along caravan routes. Bathhouses offered sessions before weddings and spring festivals. Perfumed rosewater soothed skin after pulls and rinses. Compared with blades, results lasted longer in dry climates. A desserts pantry quietly powered smooth arms and legs. Egyptian elite wore gold fingernail caps and perfumed wigs. Royal hands glittered with gold finger caps in tombs. Tutankhamun's mummy wore protective golden fingernail and toenail sheaths. Living elites wore perfumed wigs dressed with cones and ribbons. Banquets in Thebes displayed hairpieces alongside lotus bouquets. Servants adjusted curls while musicians played harp and flute. Gold signaled divine flesh, protecting fingers for the afterlife. Cosmetics jars of unguents sat near combs and mirrors. Even walking outside, wigs shaded scalps in brutal sun. Luxury reached fingertips, while fragrance followed every step inside palaces. Song era China's bound, lotus feet ideal of painful tiny steps. Beauty cost mobility when tiny bound feet entered Chinese courts. The practice began around the Song era among elites. Mothers wrapped young girls' feet to shape tiny arches. Lotus shoes hid altered toes inside embroidered silk slippers. Poems praised short steps, while pain followed every movement. Urban guilds later specialized in elegant miniature footwear. Officials debated morality, yet fashion persisted for centuries. Reformers in late Qing criticized and campaigned against binding. Surviving shoes and photos make the cost painfully clear.